We will go high. Love, grace, humility will win. And then you tell everybody to go to hell. You think that's going to work for you, Coach White? Think that's going to work for you? The reality of the situation is none of that stuff will win if it's left up to you, Stephanie White. Because you're not handling it right. You playing right into their hands. Right into their hands.
What happens when Stephanie White's leadership is explicitly questioned by Stephen A. Smith instead of analyzing the Indiana Fever? White is currently in an awkward limelight due to a contentious situation involving Sophie Cunningham, DiJonai Carrington, and a contentious coaching decision, but Caitlin Clark and her colleagues seem prepared to stand up for her. However, what specifically did Stephen A. do to provoke such a direct challenge from White? Could this conflict reveal a far more serious issue in Indiana?
Our player safety is always a top priority for me. One of the things I pride myself on is my relationships with players. I thought the play got called right. Thankfully, Sophie's okay. Was it egregious? Absolutely. When you have a chance to watch that over and over and over on replay, you can see that. I didn't have that in real time. The hate, the fear-mongering, the divisiveness, the stuff that's trying to hijack our league will not win. It won't win. We are united. We are connected. We will not be.
The most recent controversy with the Indiana Fever was just escalated by Stephen A. Smith. Because whether Stephanie White made a poor decision is not the only question at hand.
Embracing the reality of the tense situation that the WNBA, and especially you as the coach of the Indiana Fever, is involved in. There are folks in Indiana at a home game booing you. You ain't the road team, you the home team, you the home coach, and they booing you. And Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark can speak up for you all they want to, as they did, and as they should have.
Whether the Fever coach has lost the trust of the very individuals she is meant to guide is the question. Furthermore, it's getting harder for music to ignore Stephen A. Smith's demands.
White, I've been a defender, the coach of the Fever. Get her out of there. Get her out of there. Fire her ass today. I don't want her back on that bench. Stop defending the other players. Oh, she plays hard, DJ. That's just her being her. You see Caitlin in the press conference almost cover her ears and her eyes. Defend your players. First of all, you're wrong. It was a dirty play. She's gone. But when do you ever see in like the NBA, a coach not defend their own players? She hasn't done it with Caitlin when Caitlin got punched in the throat.
The play that started the issue managed to create more drama than some WNBA games. DiJonai Carrington was disqualified from the Indiana Fever's August 8th game against the Chicago Sky after he made contact with Sophie Cunningham near the head and neck during a breakaway play. Carrington was immediately dismissed from the game after the umpires determined that the offense was a flagrant 2.
See what happened when this young lady got ejected from a WNBA game the other day for a flagrant foul on Sophie Cunningham? Did y'all see that? She got ejected from the game for that flagrant foul right there. And I'll be damned if that wasn't a flagrant 2. She mugged her. Damn near came across like decapitating her, for crying out loud. That was definitely a hard foul. Make no mistake about it. Nobody can argue about it. You can say what you want. We know what we saw. No way around it. The DiJonai Carrington foul was clearly unnecessary. It was a flagrant foul penalty 2. It was absolutely positively correct call.
That ought to have concluded the basketball tale on its own. A hard foul was committed. After reviewing it, the officials made a conclusion that allowed everyone to move on. However, no one moved on. Rather, the incident turned into a much broader dispute about player safety, coaching, social media, politics, race, fan loyalty, and ultimately Stephanie White's future in Indiana. The Fever were suddenly dealing with more than simply the events that took place on the court. They had to deal with what their coach had later stated about it. Until you realize why so many people weren't persuaded, that argument may seem plausible. Because cameras don't give a damn about perfectly crafted explanations, personal relationships, or press conferences. They only document what transpired, and the video that has been making the rounds on the internet has provided critics with ample evidence to cast doubt on Stephanie White's version of the events involving DiJonai Carrington and Sophie Cunningham. As a result, there is an awkward discrepancy between what spectators think they saw and what White claimed to have seen. Whether her explanation aligned with the available footage has been a major topic of dispute on the internet. And that's exactly where Stephen A. Smith got involved.
That Stephanie is stuck in is she knows DiJonai is a good person, but now she's coaching people who are likely taking money from the Heritage Foundation, has a large MAGA racist fan base, and they didn't like that she defended DiJonai.
Take personally any suggestions that I don't 100% always have my players back.
Smith did not treat the matter as if it were only a question of whether a foul ought to have been elevated from a common foul to a flagrant. Rather, he focused on the more significant leadership issue. And that distinction is crucial because White's accountability as the Indiana Fever's head coach was the target of his criticism. In essence, he was arguing that watching the game is a crucial part of being the head coach. You should be aware of what is going on the floor, be able to spot when one of your players has been hit dangerously, and know when a scenario calls for quick action. Fans naturally want the coach to respond when one of your players is lying on the ground following a major collision before someone on social media has a chance to post 3 camera angles and dramatic music, adding even more scrutiny to the incident. Some have speculated that White's initial interpretation of the play may have been impacted by her familiarity with Carrington because of this connection. That argument must be carefully considered, though, as a coach does not always support a player's actions just because they are familiar with them.
That's a flagrant 2 every single damn time in the NBA and the WNBA. But you know things have devolved when you've got the Attorney General for the state of Florida saying that's why WNBA games ain't here because guess what? We are the prosecutors. Attorney General James Uthmeyer, the WNBA knows better than to play games down here in Florida because I'll be charging people with assault. I should probably clarify assault and battery. That is from the Attorney General of the state of...
Coaches work with athletes for years, getting to know their personalities, identifying their habits, and building relationships that last long after the player departs the team. Rather than purposefully shielding a former player, White supporters can legitimately contend that she was recounting what she thought she had witnessed at game pace. But the question posed by her detractors is distinct and much more difficult to ignore. If White had never mentored the person in question, would her response have been the same? One of the main reasons this topic won't go away is that question. Because every explanation begins to be scrutinized once trust is included in the discussion. The temperature then drastically altered in a second. Before the Fever hit the New York Liberty, White responded to the mounting criticism. Additionally, White effectively ordered her detractors to go to hell rather than making the polished statement that coaches typically make when controversy surrounds their squad. Talking about grace and humility before basically telling your detractors that they can go for a long walk in the opposite direction has an almost gloriously chaotic quality. It's the kind of statement that gives the impression that 2 whole distinct personalities are squabbling over who gets to use the microphone.
You're wrong, but it starts to make me think you care more about the overlying social issues and not pissing off other people in the league and saying men can play in the league because she's one of those players. Coaches, when asked, always is taking the far left side of it. This isn't politics. Your player got assaulted. Defend your player in the press conference. Be like, yeah, that was a dirty play. She should have hit the showers. She acts like she's the coach of the other team. I don't care if she's the best X's and O's, which she's not. Get her the hell out of there. Either defend your players or get...
Nevertheless, White's remarks were clearly motivated by emotion. She was reacting to more than just one contentious foul. She was reacting to what she perceived as a much more extensive campaign to attack her character and split her squad. To be fair, White has a point that should be acknowledged. Being the head coach of the Indiana Fever when Caitlin Clark is at the center of one of the biggest storylines in women's basketball adds a whole new level of attention to the already tough job of head coach in the WNBA. Every choice leads to contentment. Every replacement results in content. Every expression on the face grows satisfied. Additionally, it seems that every contentious foul is now sufficiently examined to warrant a congressional hearing. Since the Fever have grown to be one of the league's most popular teams, White is coaching under a level of scrutiny that very few coaches encounter. Stephen A. Smith's argument, however, does not always center on the standings. It has to do with leadership. One of the most awkward aspects of the whole incident is that Stephanie White was jeered by Fever supporters inside her own workplace.
He is the dumbest coach I've ever seen. Love, grace, humility, integrity. And you can go to hell if you don't love, grace, and integrity who I want. She is the dumbest human being to ever coach a professional sport. I say love wins. I will always have their back, except you didn't with Alyssa Thomas, except you didn't with DiJonai Carrington, except you didn't going back, except you never have. Hell, you're so stupid you can't even tell us what a woman is. You can't even tell us the difference between a man.
Consider how strange that is. As the opposing coach, White was not entering Chicago, New York, or Las Vegas. Some of the fans who were supposed to provide her home court energy were jeering her as she entered her own arena. When Smith gave his reality check, he emphasized that White was not the road team. She was the coach of the home team. That is no longer standard criticism. It's a warning light. Caitlin Clark's public defense of White further compounded the matter. According to reports, Clark claimed that the jeers made her feel ill and demonstrated that the players supported their coach. Additionally, she said that the Fever was committed to winning that game for White. That answer is significant because it gives the same basketball team two completely distinct realities. White seems to have support in the locker room. The criticism is growing louder outside the locker room. That is a harsh reality check because while players' support for their coach is strong, it doesn't always resolve issues with coaching choices.
Plenty of chances to come out with a statement like this and chose not to come out with a statement like this. But when she saw that her job was in jeopardy, after the Lieutenant Governor of Indiana came out with that statement, after she came out to say that she believed that the play between DiJonai Carrington and Sophie Cunningham wasn't intentional, when she came out with that statement and she saw how those fans reacted to her saying that, how the Governor of Indiana came out saying how she spoke about that, now she wants to make a statement. Now she wants to try to flip her words and say that, oh, she didn't see video clips and see all this. Stand on business.
The intriguing aspect is that, despite White's overarching message of sticking together rather than letting outside forces split the team, Cunningham herself has stood by White throughout the debate. Caitlin Clark then gave her own comment, stating that music is most important on the basketball floor. Indiana defeated New York 106-92, thanks to Clark's 22 points and 10 assists. The Fever's triumph was also their 15th 100-point performance of the year, which further heightened the irony of everything surrounding the team. Stephanie White squad onto the court and scored 106 points while individuals outside the locker room argued over whether or not she should be fired.